always have Doge news and people complaining about Doge, and then people obviously saying all the right stuff about Doge. I don't know exactly who this fellow is that you're about to see on video, and I don't know whose show he was on, but his name is Joe Lonsdale, and he is talking about Doge's technical capability, which is really interesting how they've gotten access to the things that they've gotten access to. So you're going to see this video now.
Administration who came in looking for these things, and those people were not technical. And so when they went to the bureaucracy and they asked questions, there's so many ways of obscuring and blocking and deterring. And so what Elon did is he got root access and he went to the tech systems themselves. No one has done this in ever. Like, no president ever has had tech people around him. And they went to the systems and they started finding things like, oh my goodness. And these people who work for the agencies try to confront them and say, no, you can't look at the systems. You can't. You're getting around all of our ability to block all this stuff. We thought you'd never actually get to see any of this. And they're freaking out because they're looking. And so it's very transparent. They went to the systems. They actually saw the payments, and the payments were going out to crazy shit. There were payments to people with same social security numbers. There are payments to people with no social security numbers to 100 billion. There's it's everywhere. There's payments to Internews Network, which is training media all around the world how to have a certain point of view that's a very left point of view. There are payments to protesters around the world. There's like all this stuff that's crazy, and they're being very transparent. Yes, we went to the data and we found it. It's only been 20 days. Like, give them a chance. They're gonna put all of this out. They already are putting a lot out. I mean, I think this is amazing, but people want to slow them down. They want to slow them down from stopping their grift is really the biggest question.
Absolutely. How could you not see this?
I know. And to his point about how some of the payments that they saw were payments to protesters, this was, I can't remember who tweeted it. I think it's the Twitter account Stop Anti-Semitism. This is legit. There was like a Craigslist job ad offering $1,000 to just show up for these protests, like these Free Palestine or protesting what's happening in Gaza. For showing up at just one, you don't even have to agree with anything that they're saying. You just have to show up. You'll get $200. And then if you do that, and then you show up for a second one, you get $1,000, which is big money. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of money to just show up to something.
And we're paying for that.
Yeah.
It's taxpayer money. And listen, as evidence, they don't have to know anything about it. They can just show up, make that money, as evidenced by so many of the videos that we've played over the past year of these people who are insane. They're like, what's from the river to the sea? What river is that? What sea? And they're like, I don't know. No, I am here. Yeah, because you're being paid. You're being paid to be there. We are paying you. It's gross.
It's just absolutely vile.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, one of the people that we've talked about who's been super anti-Doge, as you would expect, is squad member Jasmine Crockett, that horrible beast of a woman.
Yeah.
So, but interesting. You're going to see a clip right now of Jake Tapper talking to Jasmine Crockett. And it's like Jake, the way that it's framed is that Jake Tapper is on top and Jasmine Crockett is on the bottom of the screen.
Right.
I want you guys, it doesn't even matter what Jasmine's bitching about, right? It's like she's bitching about Elon. This is old news. Watch Jake's face. I understand why he seems to be so opposed, really, to what she's saying, which I think is so interesting, right? Because he's a lefty.
Oh, yeah.
But he's making this face like he thinks that she's kind of crazy.
Because she is crazy.
She is totally crazy. But like, I didn't expect Jake Tapper's face to reflect that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I want you guys to pay attention to his face. And then you tell me, am I imagining it? Am I dreaming this? Because he is looking at her like she is crazy.
What do you say to the average American out there who says, look, the government spends too much money, and I just believe that they're not taking seriously enough, the federal government, the waste and the fraud that is out there. And if Elon Musk can find some of it, more power to him.
Yeah, if he could. But first of all, if you're going to find it, then the proper thing to do would be to find it. And then clearly this is an appointee of our Republican president. He should then take his findings to the Republican caucus. Currently, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, as well as the White House. He should have a caucus meeting with them talk about what his findings are, bring actual documentation versus posting on X and then saying, oh, well, I'm not going to be perfect. Well, what is the point? Honestly, you and your little team of teenagers seem like the biggest waste that we've endured since Donald Trump has sworn in, because we should not be chasing these random stories that are nothing more than propaganda that are designed to infuriate the American people.
Well, it wasn't me, right? Like,
I think part of it may have been just the way that it was split screen, and maybe he didn't know he was on the screen, and honestly, I think maybe he thought she was on the screen, but still he's annoyed with her. You can tell he's annoyed with her. Yeah. I think if he knew that he was on the screen, maybe he did, and he just didn't care, and he just has like resting bitch face. But when he was on the air, like when they showed him, you can tell he's visibly irritated by the things that she's saying. And you know what? I think some Democrats are becoming that way, because they realize that a lot of these people who are protesting this stuff, they're protesting essentially an audit. It doesn't look good for them.
You're absolutely right. And in fact, we have an example of one of those Democrats coming up. So you are,
we're brain sharing. It's the glasses. They have special powers.
You guys, what's also ridiculous is if you're sick, going to an urgent care and sitting around a bunch of other sick people, especially when you know it's something that you know the treatment for. If you've got bronchitis, if you've got a UTI, if you've got something that you know is treatable with an antibiotic, for example, or if you've got COVID and you want to get your hands on some ivermectin without getting a lecture from your doctor, don't mess with that. Just protect yourself, protect your family, and go online to allfamilypharmacy.com/chicks. They've got 200 plus medications at the ready. You just fill out some information online and you are good to go. You can sometimes get your medications overnight, but for sure within 2 to 4 days, you're going to be hooked up by allfamilypharmacy.com/chicks. And when you use code CHICKS10, you will get 10% off of your entire order. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/chicks. It's so handy. So freaking
handy. Yeah. When you need a Z-Pack.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah, I know.
allfamilypharmacy.com/chicks, code CHICKS10. And by the way, speaking of Jasmine Crockett, I saw an old video of her when she was first running to be like a state rep somewhere.
Yeah.
She had no makeup on, not a stitch of makeup on, and she looked 12 and she was adorable. And so I don't know what this new, like, I'm going to wear pounds and pounds of makeup and
the big eyelashes. And then I'm just going to talk about race every single day. That's all I'm going to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's made a lot of money somehow on her $174,000 salary. She's got like 4 different $1 million homes scattered throughout Texas. Yeah.
And that makes you wonder why she protests audits so much.
It's so weird.
It's so weird, Mark. God.
And then the people that bitch about Elon, like being unelected, like he hasn't even gone through a background check, are such idiots. And no one put those people in their place better than Representative Mark Green from Tennessee. This was beautiful.
Elon Musk does have a security clearance. He has a top secret security clearance by God, he makes the rockets for NASA.
Right.
But the suggestion that he somehow can't be trusted to dig into how we're spending our money is nothing but a smokescreen to hide the corruption and the wasteful spending that has occurred there. And I am personally offended at the left's continued references to 19-year-olds and 21-year-olds in their doing work. There are 19-year-olds who have won the Medal of Honor defending this country. Just because you're 19 doesn't mean you're some child who can't be trusted. It is offensive. And if you're 19 years old out there, 20 years old, and you're serving this country, by God, your service matters. Keep serving. We thank you for that.
Hell yes. Yes. Now it started with Sean Duffy correcting Hillary Clinton on that stuff. Because remember, he did that last week. And now this week, we got Mark Green talking about young people. Gen Zers are going to be GOPers. They're going to gravitate towards us because of this, and because of so many. I think it's also because they're a lot like Gen X.
Yeah.
But but they are, every kid that I know that is my daughter's age is a conservative. I don't know if that's just luck because of where we live or whatever, but they're all good conservative kids. They have common sense. And so I think that generation is like, enough with this bull crap, enough with the crazy woke crap.
Yes.
They're, and then they don't like to be talked to like we're not smart, because they are. They're ambitious. They're smart. A lot of these kids are, they're going to be doing the things in about 10 years. They're going to be taking over the things. So I would not, that's just a bad strategy on the Democrats' part to be like, they don't know anything, but yet they can cut their doodads off if they feel like they need another gender.
Right.
You guys look crazy. It's just get a PR team, because damn.
And comedian Dave Smith also was making the point of how just absolutely idiotic it is for Democrats to be pushing against uncovering waste, fraud, and abuse. It just makes them look so stupid and like they have something to hide. Here he is.
To Doge in many ways says it all. Like the fact that everyone's freaking out so much about the fact that these books might be opened. We might actually be able to look and see what you're spending our money on, and then maybe even roll some of it back. And you see the freak out from people. I really enjoy watching the people spaz out over it, because just look at like what they're reduced to arguing. But if you just really zoom out and think about Doge and the reaction to it, the US federal government, biggest organization in the history of the world, spends more money than anybody else in the history of the world and has accumulated more debt than any other organization in the history of the world. And as soon as anybody even suggests modest cuts or even just opening the books, everyone in this town loses their freaking mind and says it's going to be the end of the world. And that, in fact, this is the corruption. The corruption is opening the books. The corruption is cutting any government spending. Think about for a second how fucking ass backward that is.
It's so backward. It is. And they are reducing themselves, because we're seeing exactly who they are and what they stand for, what they're willing to fight for, which is corruption. It's gross. I mean, I think the worst argument to me, because I try not to fight on Facebook. I try not to do that. But I've been fighting a little bit more lately because people are just so stupid. But there was some guy yesterday that I saw on one of my friends' pages that was talking about how he's going to steal all of our information. It's that.
Oh my God.
It's all that. They have been brainwashed into thinking that he's actually going to do that. I'm like, dude, you think he's going to steal? The richest man in the world, worth like $400 billion. Is that right? Because after $1 billion, I just like lose count. But he's he's the richest man in the world. Do you think that he's going to like steal your information so you can go get like a Best Buy credit card and like get an iPhone? Like what is he going to do? What is he going to, it's just, they're not thinking. They're not, and if they are thinking, they're thinking with their hate. And it's Trump derangement syndrome has turned into Elon derangement syndrome. EDS.
By the way, all the people that are worried about Elon having their information are on X, where they have already given him their information.
I know. That's another thing. It's like, do you think that the CIA, FBI, IRS, you don't think they have your information? You don't think that unelected bureaucrats already have your information? You idiot.
So stupid.
Yeah.
There was, I don't know who made this video, but it doesn't matter. He was in DC and he came across the Government Accountability Office headquarters, the building that the Government Accountability Office inhabits. And you guys, look at the size, look at the mammotherness of this structure.
I went for a walk in Washington, D.C., and I just happened to walk past this building, the Government Accountability Office Building, GAO, they call it. This is a department that is essentially supposed to do the things that Doge is doing, that Elon Musk's Doge department is doing. They're supposed to audit various departments in the federal government. They're supposed to stop fraud. They're supposed to stop inefficiencies, that sort of thing. But they're not doing it. And so Doge is doing it. And this is my reaction to stumbling upon this building. Look how big this building is.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look how big this is.
Oh my God. Oh my.
Shocking. And by the way, I did go around the corner to see how deep the building goes. It's like 30 windows deep as well. I mean, this building is enormous, and they don't do a thing. They don't do anything.
Everybody in there needs to be fired. Everybody. You're fired. Trump needs to just walk in there and be like, you're fired. You're fired. You're fired.